Welcome to the Inside Source Executive Video Series. My name is Dawn Tura, and I'm President and CEO of Sourcing Industry Group. And with me today is someone who is just one of the most fabulous women in procurement today. Her name is Debbie Manos-McHenry. Debbie is responsible for all of Huntington Bank's procurement. Prior to that, she was the Vice President of Procurement at KeyBank. Some of her responsibilities include travel, food services, corporate meetings, events, strategic sourcing, contract administration. But on top of that, Debbie cares about everybody in the industry, and she gives more than anyone I've ever seen within SIG. She gives and gives, and if you could ever have anyone mentor you in your entire life, you would want it to be Debbie. So Debbie, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
It's an honor to be able to interview you, and for all the years that we've been together, you have just never stopped giving of yourself. But you're in a highly regulated industry. How do you stay so upbeat? The pressures on you must be horrendous, and yet you always stay positive. So share, what is it like to be in such a regulated industry?
It's challenging, particularly in strategic sourcing. Many individuals in this industry will tell you that they're spending 90% of their time on risk mitigation as opposed to strategic sourcing. And that's a challenge for my entire team to try to keep them balanced and remain focused that in addition to being mindful of risk mitigation, we absolutely are here because we're in sourcing.
And then talk about the regulations. How does it affect you with your sourcing? Is it just more complex? Is it constantly changing? How does it really affect you in sourcing?
It can absolutely impact who you're doing business with because regulations are highly focused on data security. Cyber risk is huge for us. And just being aware of that as you're doing the contract negotiations and having parties on the other side who appreciate that and understand it. In particular, subcontracting risk is very big, and you're going to need to require your third party to have a third party risk management program in place that is at least as rigorous as that which the regulations require. So you need somebody to understand and appreciate that. So people who are familiar with working in the financial services industry is really important to have on the other side.
Cybersecurity, though, I mean, we can't get away from it. And as we heard this morning from the CIO, former CIO of the White House, the smart people are always one step ahead of us. So how do you keep yourself from being paranoid and thinking that you're protecting your assets as well as you can?
We all have to do our part at Huntington, and just like any other company, we all own risk. Our Chief Information Security Officer collaborates with the financial services sector and other security organizations like we heard about this morning. They are constantly on the watch for that and evolving. But we are also requiring that our suppliers have a very rigorous information security protocol in place, which is another thing that the other side needs to understand as they're doing business with financial services companies. And as you said, any company in the world is concerned about this today. And they have to have strong information security protocols.
Now, do you worry about your third and fourth tier suppliers as well?
Oh, absolutely.
So you do look that far?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
And we require that they, as I said, they have a third-party risk management program in place, which includes doing due diligence and asking them questions, trust but verify, getting their information security procedures and their design schematics to the extent that you need to in the area. If you're going into a highly technical area and there's information security access that involves subcontractors, you absolutely want to go that far.
So marketing has somehow just suddenly realized that procurement could ruin the reputation of a company by contracting with the wrong folks.
Yes.
Do you work now with your marketing organization, and are they concerned that you're doing everything you can to protect the brand?
Oh, we don't have significant concerns out of our marketing organization. Reputation risk is absolutely one of the pillars in our program.
Okay.
And so, as I said, everyone owns risk. So the business unit who's doing business with that supplier is going to need to be extraordinarily mindful of that, because companies can ruin the reputation of your company. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so 3 to 5 years, what do you see on the horizon? I mean, 5 years ago, I would have said, yes, we'll talk about risk, but I would never have said cybersecurity, human trafficking, those type of things were not the words. We were looking at financial risk or geopolitical risk. So what do you say 3 to 5 years? Do you think cybersecurity will still have to be one of the things that we're constantly vigilant about? Do you think we'll finally master it?
As you said, identifying what hasn't been invented yet, that's going to be difficult. If you think about the scanning to get into a computer network or the thumbprint, I'm sure fraudsters will at some point figure out how to mimic your retina scan or your thumbprint. So absolutely, that's going to continue to be on the horizon. I'm hopeful that in addition to risk, that strategic sourcing will move along on the horizon in the maturity curve of sourcing into product innovation and working with strategic alliances as more and more companies white label or work with other strategic alliance partners. There's no one better than a procurement organization to help the business with driving value out of that relationship.
Well, that's wonderful. So when you're not doing 100-mile bike races and raising money for great causes, you're constantly innovating the world of procurement.
Yes.
So you're just amazing. And once again, folks, we are at a time, but Debbie, thank you for joining us. And seriously, if you ever get a chance to spend some time with Debbie Manos-McHenry, your whole world of procurement will be bigger and brighter, and your future will be better. So Debbie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dawn.
And thank you for joining us on the Inside Source Executive Video Series, and I'll see you next time.